Hello and welcome to Curriculum and Beyond, your place for smart learning and easy understanding. Whether you're a student, teacher, or researcher, this channel is for you. We explain difficult topics with real life examples and go beyond the textbooks. Welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and enjoy learning.
Now we are going to look at research process. These are the series of activities that go on after you've selected a topic. Now, for better understanding, I will divide the research process into the chapters in research reports. For example, chapter 1, we will call it Introduction, and it has the following elements. 1, background to the study, statement of problem, you have the purpose of study, you also have research questions and hypotheses, to mention but a few. Other aspects vary from faculty to faculty. Now, the chapter 2 is literature review, while chapter 3 deals with the research design. Chapter 4 is data collection and analysis, while chapter 5 deals with writing the research report, discussion of results, recommendation, conclusion, and suggestions for further studies. These are the various dimensions in research process. Now let's take them chapter by chapter. The chapter 1, I said the bold title is Introduction. This is followed by the background to the study. The background is the problems you have observed that made you to go into the study. Here, you don't dwell so much on literature, but you spoke more of your experience. For example, my background in the topic I chose for my example is that topic, effect of English language of test items on students' performance. You could recall that. Now, the background would be to establish that actually students are performing poorly, to show that this poor performance is dependent on language, and to give in my background that English language ability varies among population of biology test takers. These are the things I'll write in the background with minimal literature. Now, at the end of the background, it is not supposed to be more than 2.5 pages. Now, many students write background that are up to 5, 6, 7 pages. When you look at such background, they are already going into literature review. And faculty members will normally condemn it. So I expect you to just narrow your background to the study to only 2 chapters. It is enough. Then immediately you go to your statement of problem. Now, this is where you state the exact problem you are investigating. It is not expected that you should leave it loose. You will review some of the things you stated at the background, and towards the last stage, you pose your problem. Many authorities in research suggest that you should pose your problems in question form. Some are also allowed to pose it in non-question form. But when you pose it in question form, it gives you a better direction as to what you are doing. In your statement of problem, you also bring in the variables and see how you think they are going to impact on the dependent variable. Let me give you some specific example. In the example on effect of language manipulation on students' performance in biology, the statement of problem could be, what is the effect of simplifying the English language of biology test items on students' performance in biology? Now, I bring in the moderator variables.
Hi there, just in case you have any question, kindly drop them in the comment section and we will respond as soon as possible. Keep learning.
Of interest. Specifically, how well does students' variable of gender, school location, socioeconomic status influence the effect of language on students' performance in biology? Then you go to the purpose of study. The purpose of the present study is to simplify the English language of biology test items to see how it affects student performance in biology. Specifically, it intends to reduce or simplify the English language of biology test items, which were considered as being complex, and then making them to retain the same meaning to know whether student performance will be improved or not. Then at the end of this, we go on to research questions. Here you bring in your independent variable and dependent variables, as well as your moderator variables and mediator variables if you are using them in your study. Now, a research question could be this, that how well does students perform in biology test items which are presented in simplified English language compared to their performance in similar items retained in complex English language? 2, I bring in socioeconomic status. What is the influence of students' socioeconomic status on their performance in biology test items which are presented in simplified English language? Put in another way, I will ask whether students from high socioeconomic status and those from low socioeconomic status, will they differ in performance in biology test items that are presented in simplified English language? I can now bring in, will there be difference in the mean performance of male and female students in biology tests presented in simplified test English language? I bring in the variable of location. I say, would students from urban area and those from rural area differ in performance in biology test items which are presented in simplified English language? Now, having done these research questions, you go to statement of hypothesis. And there are different types of hypotheses. We shall handle this example when we look at the hypothesis as a topic. Now we go to the other aspect of research process in chapter 1. Some faculties will say you should write definition of terms. In other words, they say terms that are specific to your study, you should define them as you use them in your research. For some universities, they don't create another section for this. They will say define terms used in a specific way within the body of your work. That is, define them in situ. So if you have a term that you are using differently from the common usage, you explain the meaning at the point you mention it in your work, rather than going to definition of terms. Now, this will come to the end of chapter 1. We will end our presentation at this point to continue again. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for watching Curriculum and Beyond, the online campus. If you learned something today, please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell so you get notified when we have something new.